All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the biggest, most expensive problems in business today, and it's one that's almost completely invisible. It's this massive gap between what we say, what our data actually means, and what our software ends up doing.
I want to start with a number. Just let this one sink in for a second. 75%. What on earth could that represent?
Well, it's the percentage of managers who feel like their projects are doomed right from the get-go. I mean, think about that. Before anyone has even written a single line of code, the people in charge already feel like it's destined to fail. That's not a technical problem, that's a crisis of confidence. So why does this happen?
It happens because most organizations, probably even yours, are running on this unaligned energy. It's kind of like a light bulb, you know? There's a ton of energy, a lot of light, but it's just scattered everywhere. You've got brilliant people working their tails off, but all that effort is going in a million different directions. They're often working against each other without even knowing it. And all of that scattered energy, well, it creates the real core of the problem. What I like to call the illusion of agreement.
See, the hidden enemy here, the real villain of the story, is ambiguity. We've all been in those meetings, right? We're all using the same words, everyone's nodding along. A manager says, we need to streamline the sales process. To the sales team, that means a cool new interface. To the finance department, it means slashing commissions. And to the engineers, it means we got to rebuild the entire back end from scratch. We think we're all on the same page, but we're actually working on 3 completely different projects.
And this brings us to a super important distinction. We often shoot for alignment. And hey, alignment is a good start. It's getting everyone rowing in the same direction for a little while, but it's temporary. It means you need constant check-ins, endless meetings, and course corrections. What we should be aiming for is unification, a deep, structural, and permanent agreement on what our words and concepts actually mean. It creates a rock-solid foundation that doesn't just crumble over time.
And this visual just says it all, doesn't it? The goal is to take that scattered, chaotic energy of the light bulb and turn it into the focused, synchronized, and powerful energy of a laser. An energy so focused, it can cut right through complexity and get incredible things done.
So the big question is, how do we actually build that laser? It all starts by creating a shared blueprint.
And that blueprint begins with a common language. For our digital world, that language is JSON. And look, this isn't some obscure techie format. This is the lingua franca of the modern internet. From Google to Microsoft to whatever social media app you were just scrolling through, this is how data talks.
But you know, just speaking the same language isn't quite enough. You need grammar. You need rules, and that's exactly what JSON schema is. Think of it like a binding legal contract for your data. It's a single central document that says, hey, a customer must have an email address, it must have a first name, and a price must be a positive number. Period.
What this does is it creates something we call an enforceable frame of reference. That sounds fancy, but it just means the rules have teeth. It's not a suggestion, it's the law. It makes it literally impossible for one team to send bad data to another because the contract, that schema, will just reject it on the spot. It's like a bodyguard for your entire organization, protecting it from the chaos of bad data.
Okay, so once you have this enforceable, common language, well, that's when some really incredible things start to happen. And here's where the magic really kicks in. So look at this. On the left, that's the JSON schema. That's our data contract we just talked about. It's defining fields like first name and age. Now look to the right. That clean web form? A developer didn't spend hours coding that. It was automatically, instantly generated from the schema. If you change a rule in the schema, the form changes too. No extra interface code needed. That is unification in action.
So the payoff here is just huge. Errors basically disappear because bad data can't even get in the door. Communication gets way better because everyone's working from the exact same blueprint. All that tedious work, like building and rebuilding forms, gets automated. And if you need to add a new field, say a phone number, you just update the schema once and boom, the form updates itself.
To really drive this point home, I want to leave you with one last powerful analogy. Because this isn't just some nice-to-have idea. It is as fundamental to your organization's health as basic hygiene. Back in the 1840s, a doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis was absolutely horrified by how many new mothers were dying from something called childbed fever. He noticed this terrifying pattern. The clinics where doctors went straight from performing autopsies to delivering babies had catastrophically high death rates. His solution was revolutionary at the time. He made hand washing mandatory. And the results? They were immediate. They were dramatic. The death rates just plummeted.
The lesson here was so clear it was undeniable. A simple, fundamental practice could defeat an invisible but incredibly deadly threat. It proves that the simplest actions can have massive, massive ripple effects.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The invisible threats to our companies today aren't germs. They're the subtle miscommunications, the ambiguous definitions, and the inconsistent data that quietly poison our projects and lead them to fail. Unifying our data and our language, it's the hand-washing of the 21st century.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Is your organization treating its data strategy with the same life-or-death importance as washing its hands? Because in a world that is completely built on information, it absolutely should be.